I fall sometimes. Normally now I can sort of grab something and not go down. I'm still wary about my balancing. Yeah, that's the main problem at the moment, I think.
You've had 3 different hips on that side, is that right?
Yes, 3.
3 on that side and just one that works.
Yes, and 1 knee. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I was playing a lot of badminton, and I could feel the hips were getting warm while I was playing. And in 1998, it led to my first hip replacement. 19th of October 1999, second hip replacement. 8th of August 2007, right hip dislocation. Living in the house over the back there, I fell down inside a cupboard under the stairs and dislocated the right hip.
He'd been in the greenhouse and he'd fallen, which I didn't know about. And he came back and he said, "Oh, I fell in the greenhouse. I've dislocated my hip, but I got it back."
No, that was in the cupboard.
No, then he went into the cupboard under the stairs to get some shoes, and when his hip just completely gave out and it went down. And I couldn't get him out. And we had to call for an ambulance then. Yeah.
2 ladies came in an ambulance. They got me out of the cupboard on a stretcher. And the funny thing is, they couldn't lift me up, so they had to call somebody else to catch up the end of the stretcher to put me in the ambulance. They took me to Frenchay Hospital. They were trying to pull the hip back into place, and because I had a liner between the hip and the socket, they couldn't do that.
When he got to BRI, they said, "Well, I don't know why they sent you here. We don't do hips here." So we had to wait then.
In the morning, I had picked up MSSA, so I had to stay at the BRI until I got rid of that. While I was at the BRI, besides MSSA, I picked up MRSA. When things went on, and I picked up C. diff.
It was quite frightening because you'd be in bed shaking and trembling, because of the fever, and it was quite frightening.
Time was going on. I had kidney failure, with 2 spells in high dependency and 1 spell in intensive care.
He didn't want to eat anything, and so they were putting stuff in him up his nose and drips and everything. And then, of course, he got very swollen. And so that was a bit wrong then. That was quite worrying.
What have you done to my husband?
Yeah, he was like Mr. Michelin. He's not much different now.
Thank you.
But, that was quite frightening and quite worrying. There were some pretty horrific times.
And it wasn't until November time that I was able to get to Southmead to have the hip replaced.
Well, we just never thought it would happen. We just never give it another thought, really. And then he suddenly woke up saying, "I'm in awful pain," and it just got worse. But we certainly didn't expect it to be the infection rising its ugly head again.
January 12 was when we found the MSSA. I think they said, I don't think I'd been anywhere else to pick it up that I know of. And they say, well, it could have been, it's just dormant for 5 years and come up again. I went to Southmead and had a debridement. That didn't work, so I had to have the hip replaced. I was there to have it replaced, and on the operating table, my heart stopped.
It was a Friday. Alison and I were coming from the mall, and the traffic was horrendous, and we were both getting really worked up.
The funny part with that was, by the time they got to me, I was sat up in bed watching the cricket.
We could have killed him. So I wonder he didn't have another heart attack.
You don't usually take an hour from Cruz Causey to Southmead. Anyway, it was then later in November that year that they gave me the third right hip. 25th of May 2012, right hip replacement aborted due to cardiac failure. 13th of November 2012, the right hip was replaced again.
That 5 months was hell. I was in by 10:30, 11:15 every morning, and didn't leave there until, gone 6 o'clock some nights. It was exhausting. Unless you've got family, it's very hard. You need to, we were lucky. We've got 3 good children, and we were very fortunate. They were very supportive. I just think it needs to be explained to people that things can go wrong, but not to frighten them. You don't want to frighten them and say, they'll say, I'm not going to have that done then. But, if they're in pain and they need it done, they need it done. Yeah. They need to be able to talk and say all these things that can go wrong in easy terms that people can understand them. Because we don't understand medical terms. We don't understand some of the medical jargon that goes on, but they need to put it in simple English that people can understand if they're getting a bit ancient like we are.